to my channel and welcome if you are new. My name is Takea. Sorry there wasn't a video last week. It just was super hectic and my days just kept slipping away from me. I thought I was gonna have time, but life just happened. So, happy Monday. We made it to another week, you guys. Another work week, another fun-filled week. So let's just have a good week, and I'm hoping you all have a good, successful work week, or if you're a stay-at-home mama, whatever, let's just have a great one. So I was going to record on Saturday, but then I had a gallbladder attack. So for those of you who haven't had one, it is awful. Like, you get your pain right here in your rib, and it's like it's compressing your rib so you couldn't breathe. So every little tiny breath that I took hurt. And then I started having a panic attack because I couldn't breathe. So then I thought I was gonna pass out or die. So then I couldn't record on Saturday, and then yesterday I was just kind of recovering, so I just kind of took it easy. So it'll probably be Tuesday when you see this, but it's gonna be Monday when I'm recording it. So that's that story. So welcome if you are new. I'd love for you to join my YouTube family and help me grow and learn along the way. So go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and hit that red subscribe button, and let's just get this party started. I'm going to be talking about my labor and delivery with Owen. So I'm a first-time mama. He is a year old on Thursday, so wow. He was due September 22nd, 2019. So I went in, I hit my 40 weeks on Sunday the 20th. I went into my 40-week appointment on Monday the 21st. I was already 3 centimeters dilated, and I was 75% effaced. So for those of you who don't know, that's how thin your cervix spreads or gets for delivery. So I had him scrape my membranes. This was like 8:30 in the morning because my doctor always scheduled his OB patients super early. So he scraped my membranes, and then we just set up an induction date for that Thursday the 26th. Yes, I have to remember my dates. So we scheduled an induction for Thursday the 26th. That way my husband could take off, and then we could just have that Friday and the whole weekend to just come home as a family, considering we didn't know how long it was going to take or whatever. Leave the appointment, and my husband goes to work because he went to all of my appointments with me. So then I leave work, or go home, and then I'm just kind of laying on the couch one day. I'm already on maternity leave at this point, just because you just never know what was going to happen. So I had taken off maternity leave the previous Thursday, and this was the next Monday. So I had been on maternity leave already for a few days just to get the house ready and cleaned up, last minute things all just put together and everything. So so I sent my husband to work, and so then I just was kind of just chilling at home, you know, just feeling really burnt out and tired at this point. I don't think I've ever felt this burned out in my whole entire pregnancy, throughout the whole thing. So then I just went to the bathroom, you know, like normal, and then I had lost my mucus, my bloody show, and then that's when I just started feeling like really super like just out of it, and just like TMI moment. But for any mama out there who's ever had a baby, or for those of you who are expecting your first time, your bloody show means you're basically your mucus point, your mucus plug, and at that point that's pretty much like the thing that needs to happen before you can have your baby. But I didn't know that's what it was, because I also didn't know if it was just because of him just scraping my membranes. Like I said, I'm a first-time mama, so everything experienced this was just brand new to me. I had no idea what to even expect at all. So then I just went out throughout my day, you know, I slept most of that day just because my body was really burnt out, and it's just something that happens. So we went to bed about we went to bed pretty early just because I was tired. So we went to bed about 9 to 10:30 every night back then. And then I remember waking up at 5:30 with the most awful contractions. Like, they woke me up. But I didn't want to think too much of it, just because we had been in labor and delivery the week before, thinking that I had my water break. And it was actually, apparently you sweat a lot, because I was pregnant all summer. And so apparently it caused me to sweat a lot, thinking that it was my water or leaking or something, and it wasn't. So I didn't want to think too much of it, thinking that they were just Braxton Hicks or whatever. So I kind of was sleeping in and out of contractions or whatever, and then I just kind of like started curling up in like the fetal position, like not even knowing it. So my husband gets up and gets ready for work about 6:45-ish, and he's asking me how I'm doing. I was like, oh, I'm okay. I mean, I'm having contractions or whatever. So then he starts timing them, you know. And they were like 20 to 15 minutes apart at that point. So he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna go to work. But by the time he had left for work for about 7:50, because he has to be at work at 8, by the time he had left at like 7:50, I couldn't even move. So I got up to go to the bathroom, and that's when my water had actually broke. And it broke when I was peeing, so it was hard to actually know that's what it was. But it was really weird, because when I got done though, like there was like these brown specks or flakes when I wiped and stuff. TMI moment, but if you're a mama, you get it. And so I was kind of thinking that was kind of weird, and then I just kept leaking the whole time. So I called my husband at 8 o'clock. He had just gone to work at this point, and I called him and I was like, you need to come home. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and try. I was like, no, you need to come home. And he's like, okay. So then like 8:05, because he doesn't work very far from our house. So then like 8:05 he comes home and he goes, what's the matter? I was like, we gotta go. And he's like, okay. So then he starts timing my contractions again, but at this point it's never ending, and it's just a continuous contraction at this point. And so I had all of my bag packed, luckily. My hospital bag, like his bag, the baby bag, everything was ready to go. I had it packed at like 36, 37 weeks, just when I first started getting contractions, just to be set, just because I was a first time mama, so I didn't know what to expect or anything. So only thing that we really needed was like phone chargers and like slippers, because I wore my slippers every day, and just like little stuff like that, last minute things or whatever. So we leave at like 8:15 the house, and we live like maybe 2 or 3 miles from the hospital, but we have to go through town, and I swear to the high heavens, we hit every red light. Like, it was rush hour traffic. It was 8 in the morning. Rush hour here is like 8 to 9 a.m. So we were in rush hour traffic, and like, it was so bad. So my husband calls my mom, because she was going to be in the delivery room with us, and he goes, so she's having contractions about every 3 minutes or so, and then I'm just screaming in the background that I have to push. Like, it's so hard not to. Your body literally, like, I have heard women tell me who have had babies, your body does the whole thing for you. And I was like, no, there's no way. It's true though. Like, the whole, like, I hardly had to do anything. Like, your body just like naturally knows what to do. And so my mom was like, oh my gosh, okay. So she's hurrying over there. Like, she was in town, luckily. Normally they travel for work and stuff and live out of their fifth wheel, but with the baby coming and their first grandchild, they were kind of like super excited to be in the area and whatever. So she was kind of getting ready. So we get to the hospital at 8:45, hitting every single red light. And they're like, so are you having a baby? And I was like, yeah, I think my water broke and I'm bleeding and I'm leaking stuff. And they're like, how far are you? I was like, oh, I'm 40 weeks and 2 days, you know. And they're like, okay, so you're ready. So then they get me into the delivery room. And I wanted to have an epidural. I wanted to get every single drug in the book. Whatever they had to offer me, I wanted. So they have these little strips that they can take, that they can use to test if your water had broken or not. And my pants were soaked because I was leaking out the whole way up to the hospital. So they just used that strip and they just swiped it on my underwear. And like within like 0.5 seconds, it was like, yep, your water broke. So then they checked me and everything, and they're like, you're there. So basically I did 99.9% of my laboring at home, which was nice because I was in my own bed, but it was so scary. Like, I couldn't even walk up to the delivery floor because I think it's the second or third floor in my hospital. I can't remember. So I had to walk into the building, and then my husband got me a wheelchair, and like it was so hard not to have him in the elevator on the floor there. Like, they put me in the first delivery room that was on the floor, and God, sorry, my sniffles, my allergies are just so bad. So they test my water with the strip and everything, and so then they're like asking me all these questions. Like, I didn't even get my IV in until after I had delivered because everything was just so fast. So we get to the hospital at 8:45, and they ask me who my doctor was, and then I could tell them. So then they call him and stuff, and they ask me if my GBS test was, and I said that it was negative, which it's my first baby, so if you've ever had a positive one, I know that they just give you an IV for delivery because it can just be bad for baby during delivery, but it's not a big deal. I mean, just because I was negative doesn't mean the next one I won't be positive, and it's just a bacteria that they just test you for when you hit 36 weeks, so it's not a big deal if you tested positive or if you're concerned about what that is. Anyway, so, and there was like 15 nurses in there. They couldn't get the stirrups up because everything was moving so fast. Like, he was coming out. Like, I was basically already crowning by the time that we had got up there. So, I mean, they're like, here, go ahead and hurry and put this gown on. So then I'm putting all the gown on while they're putting in all my information or whatever, and so they're like, did you want an epidural? And I was like, well, kind of, but there was no time for that. I wouldn't have been able to sit still long enough to have them put an epidural in. Like, it was bad. I couldn't even sit down straight, like sit straight up and down. I couldn't even walk into the hospital, so there was no way. So my doctor gets there, or the intern gets there, the resident doctor, and I was like, hey, you're here now, can I push? And he's like, no, not yet, you have to wait for your doctor. And it's seriously taking everything in me to not just push this baby out right now. It is so hard to resist, and it's so hard not to. So my doctor gets there. He didn't even have time to change into his delivery clothes. And so 3 pushes, he was out 9:10 a.m. Like, we got there 8:45, he was out at 9:10. Like, it seriously went that fast. He came so fast. I hemorrhaged. I got a 2nd-degree tear. And I lost 2 to 3 times more blood than I should have. So he came out super purple and bruised because of how fast he came. And he honestly probably spent more time stitching me up down there than I was actually pushing. And you guys, if you've never had a baby before, that feeling is just so exhilarating afterwards. Just seeing this little person that you and the person that you love created, it is just the best feeling. It is just so overwhelming, and it's just remarkable. Like, so I was in the delivery room. I have to keep you in there for at least 2 hours as the hospital policy. So I was in there for at least 2 hours, and they did the skin to skin and everything. And so then they finally got my IV in after I delivered, because everything was just so fast of that labor and delivery floor. Being a first time mama, having a 3.5 hour labor, having a baby and 3 pushes, like, I was the talk of the floor. Every single nurse, when they did their shift trade or whatever, always had to come and be like, oh, so you're the miracle mama. You're the person who only had the 3.5-hour labor. Like, it was incredible. And it was just, and honestly, as much as I wanted to be able to get an epidural, I'm really glad that I didn't, because in the end, my end goal was to be able to have an all-natural birth, and I'm really glad that I accomplished that with my first baby. Now, with that being said, I know that every pregnancy is different. I know every baby is different. I know every birth and every labor is different. So the next one, hopefully, you know, will be just as easy and I can do it all natural again. I was one of those people who was terrified of birth. I was terrified. I had never had an IV. Like, I had never been hospitalized for anything. So I was just terrified. I would watch YouTube videos of births, which, you know, if you're like me, you want to, but then you watch those bad ones and then it just scares you. But I was so scared to the point that it would give me nightmares and I wouldn't be able to sleep because I was so scared. But in the end, mamas, it is all worth it. That little bundle of joy and watching them grow up, 100% worth everything that you go through. And I can't say it enough. I would do it again in a heartbeat. Bring another little baby into this world because it's just worth it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this labor and delivery story. If you have any other video ideas, go ahead and just leave a comment down below and make sure to give this video a big thumbs up. It'll help me out a lot. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.